Hey, how's it going? And welcome back to another In the Sheds. It is Wednesday. It is time to talk some live sport. We usually, obviously, every Sunday, 8 a.m. AST, we talk to players. We just had Archie Thompson on previously. So if you haven't checked that one out yet, obviously go and check that one out. That is fantastic. We're talking about the Socceroos. We're talking about Buddy Melbourne victory. We're talking about when he kicked 13 past American Samoa. Absolutely crazy, son. Absolutely crazy. So that was a fantastic episode. And we've actually, this week, upcoming, we've got Emerging Cricket Podcast, which is going to be talking basically about everything cricket around the world and all the similar to Chasing Kangaroos podcast in a way, where he's rugby league, but emerging cricket is more cricket. So it's going to be very interesting to hear about all those things in those really niche little countries like Nepal and what other countries do we talk about, Hayden? I haven't even introduced him yet. Obviously, this is my co-host, Hayden, Entertain House. How you going, champion?
Yeah, going good. Looking forward to recapping the round that was and getting into a lot of live sports potentially starting to return. So we'll touch on that.
I had a bit of a, the thing is that technically I had a bit of a rough week. Because I only did get 3 out of 8. But in the same sense, if you go back and look at that podcast, I said that, look, I didn't even realise that Tavita Pungai was out for one. I wasn't even thinking about it. And then there's David Fifita, who I didn't even realise was injured. I messaged you before the game, and I was like, is David Fifita injured? And you were like, yeah, man, he's out for 4 to 6 weeks. I'm like, oh, shit, Parramatta's going to win this. So,
Good stuff from the Eels.
Yeah, a bit of a rough one there. Well, while we're going through it, because I will give my excuse for it for every game. But while we're going through the Broncos-Eels game, what do you quickly think about that one?
As I said in my recap, I think Eels had a complete another level in them. I still think it wasn't our complete best performance. The completion rates and kick options could have been better. We definitely turned up, and our forwards really impressed me. I thought Regan Campbell-Gillard deserved more credit. I thought he was man of the match in that match.
Yeah, look, It wasn't my favourite match of the weekend, put it that way. It was a good match. It was. By the way, guys, just quickly, I didn't actually mention this. Just quickly, there is going to be a focal point of rugby league on today's podcast as well, because obviously rugby league's the only sport going on right now. Next week is going to have a big, heavy focus on AFL, because AFL comes back, and Super Rugby as well. So we're going to get into chatting about a couple of those things. So definitely get tuned for that. But today it's going to be pretty heavily focused about rugby league. We do speak about something in the Premier League a lot later on, though. So definitely hold on for that one. But yeah, the Broncos-Eels game, I think the Eels are a great team this year. I think they are going to. I did tip them in 5th. I think they're probably going to be top 4 based on what I'm seeing so far. But the Eels are also known to throw it away when it gets to
slip up.
Yeah, they know how to slip up when it gets to the big stage. And that's what we saw with Melbourne Storm last year. What was it, 38-0? We were both at that game.
Was it over the weekend or last week's pod where you said you think the Eels will go to the prelims but choke in the prelims?
That was on one of the live streams.
That was on one of the
live streams. So, guys, if you're not too sure, on BKRsport, we've been doing a lot of these duo live streams where basically we're watching the game live and both of us are there and we're just chatting.
30 seconds behind, not
Hayden
live,
was
30 seconds.
Yeah, Hayden was 30 seconds behind. So that was a bit of an issue. But yeah, that's what we do. And I was talking about basically that I think the Eels will probably make the prelim. I think that I just don't think they're a better team right now than the Raiders, who we're going to get into in a second. I think even though the Storm had a bad game, I still think the Storm had one of those hoodoos over the Parramatta Eels. And there was another team that I was at, Manly. And I still, and we'll get into Manly in a second, even though Manly didn't have the greatest of games against the Dogs, they still convincingly and utterly beat them to a pulp. So obviously I look to wait to see when Manly come up against a better team. They have played the Storm so far, but there was a massive momentum swing when the Suliasi Vunivalu try was given, which I don't personally believe was a try whatsoever. Do you know what I'm talking about there, Hayden?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you were at the game, weren't you?
Yes, I was at the game. And you're right about the momentum. He scored. The second one, I think, was the second one, surely, yeah, try. But the first one, bit controversial.
Yeah. Well, actually, while we're here, let's talk about the crowd noise. So I had a lot of people asking me about the crowd noise. I heard a lot of people on my live streams were asking about what do I think about crowd noise. And I felt like I kept repeating myself over and over and over again. So I want to chuck it here so that everyone can just come back to this video and hear our opinion, because everyone's keen to hear about it. So crowd noise, mate, what's your thoughts?
I personally think it's terrible when you're watching the game from home. Yep. When you and I were live streaming, or when I was streaming, because I did Eels and Broncos and Tigers and Sharks, I actually thought it works. when you're streaming, it's a really good atmosphere, background, making you feel like you're at the game. Whereas at home, it's ridiculous. And I think in that atmosphere where you're with either family or friends and you want to hear players belt each other, that's what you want to hear. But majority of people around the country and even around the world, because we saw the hashtags on Twitter from it, are really enjoying the rugby league crowd noise. So it is quite a popular thing.
Well, I think that the people around the world, they're not really like that. That's the thing. I 100% agree with what you're saying, and I said this about a million times. I think that pretty much everyone around the world doesn't know. Well, it's just not. They don't know. You know, they're coming from. They have never watched the game before, or it's something new to them because there's no sport on right now. So I guess they don't know any different, and it's just like it's just kept on. As they're thinking there is fans there, you know, for all they know. If they're in Europe, they could think that Australia is back to normal. What do you do? You know, that's not what they're thinking. But for me, I 100% agree, and I said this a million times on the stream, was that I think that it would be shocking to be sitting down and listening to it as a normal fan, where you're not talking the whole time like we do on the stream. Like when we're talking on a stream, it's always it's a good backing. It's a good backing because I'm not focusing on the commentators. I can hear the commentators, but I'm not focusing on the commentators. And with that crowd noise in the background, it just feels normal. It feels like there's something else going on besides our talking. Is that what you're thinking as well?
Yes, I'm thinking that. I wanted to add as well, how come Melbourne was the only team, or that I noticed anyway, because I was watching most games pretty closely. Melbourne cowbell noise is obviously something that's very known, but they were the only team that had kind of this chant. There was obviously crowd noise, and I guess maybe they were saying team names, but making you actually feel like you were at a game, I think we only saw that with Amy Park, and I feel like they need to give more credits, whether it be the drumming noise, the hype of a drum, or
At the Gold Coast,
chant.
get around the Titans drummer boy, mate. Get around the Titans drummer boy. No,
Get around him.
I agree. I think that the crowd noise. Well, I didn't hear the Storm, so I'm going based off what you were saying here. But I think it was obviously just a tester. So that was just the first test across the league. That was the first games that we had back, and yeah, I think it was just a tester. So the Storm, fantastic that they've got the chance going. I think there will be chance eventually. You know, Titans, if you want to give me a call up to start some chance like I usually do at the games, I'm here. A good old Gold Coast Titans drama boy. But no, I think the crowd noise is good. It might sound a bit weird what I'm saying there, but as a streamer, I guess it makes sense to me. But let's move on to the next game, which was who was the next game? The Titans Cowboys. Ooh, alrighty. I'll quickly sum up. So, obviously, you guys know that I was disappointed in the first half with the refereeing. I thought the refereeing in the first half was really debatable. However, I thought the Titans played really well in the first half. It was a very positive first half. Second half, nothing wrong with the refereeing. Just got outclassed. Hearts went down. Lost all kind of momentum that we possibly had in the first half. And yeah, I think there was a couple of dubious decisions that let our hearts get down and then we fell apart. But I think there was a lot of positive signs out of the Titans. So I'm happy with my tip. Obviously it lost, but I'm happy that I got behind a team that at one stage genuinely had the potential to win that game, but just fell apart due to, I don't know, lack of belief, I guess. Lack of belief after halftime, or the Cowboys really kicked it up a notch. I don't know. I want to wait for the Cowboys. I still want to wait for the Cowboys to see what's coming, because I still don't necessarily 100% get involved or believe in that team just yet. I'm still waiting to see it. So I think the Titans did well. We'll get into the Tigers game in a second, but for me, I'm quietly surprised and quietly happy with how the Titans played.
So I think that the Titans played really well. Keegan Hipgrave and Kevin Proctor for the forwards were outstanding. I think their defence, for the most part, was quite good, even though they did obviously leak a lot of points.
Second half,
Yeah. As for the Cowboys, I thought they did win this quite convincingly. I still want to see them go against one of the top teams, though. I thought their spine is really maturing. I didn't expect someone like Valentine Holmes to come from the NFL to the NRL and get it back so quickly. He really looked like he was getting his mojo back this game.
The thing I say about that is I can agree with you, but it was the Titans. He didn't play well when he played against the Broncos. He didn't play well when he played against... Who was the other team they played in round 2? Broncos was round 1. Broncos was round 1. Hold on, I'm going to quickly...
Bulldogs, because I got the score. It was 24-16.
Yeah, that's right, 24-16. Yeah, so that was interesting. So, yeah, Valentine Holmes didn't play well in the first 2 games. Then he comes and plays against the Titans. He has had an extended break, though, to get back into the swing of things and readjust his schedule and readjust his training program, because the NRL and NFL is obviously two completely separate entities in how you train and how you play. So yeah, I think that I think the Valentine Holmes, we're gonna wait until we see him against a good team as well, because Titans, I'm not buying in just yet.
I think their whole spine looked quite good, though. As I said, it was just the Titans, but Drinkwater and Holmes looked really dangerous, that combination. I didn't think, besides Taumalolo, I didn't think much of the Cowboys forward. Their utility, Reece Robson, he looked fantastic. Reece Robson coming off the bench provided great impact for the Cowboys. And the Titans, I want to see someone come off the bench and provide that impact. That's what I haven't seen in a while. And your starting forwards are good, but I want to see a forward come off the bench, or even someone who can play hooker like your Mitch Rain and make impact.
I liked Pearson. I did like Pearson in the back line, but he was the only back line I did like in that game. I didn't really like too many others at all, and the halves just obviously didn't work out. And I know I'm not going to sit here and hate on Ash Taylor, but there is a lot of criticism coming for him right now. So if you want to, you can do it, but I'm not going to rip on him. But what I just think that was a positive performance of the Titans. We did get convincingly beaten in the end in the second half, but I would attribute that to a major loss of heart from not being a lot closer at halftime when I arguably think we were the better team going into halftime. I arguably think that we were the better team in that first half. Second half, shit ass. But that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like the team just fell apart coming into the second half. So, it is what it is, but they play the Tigers next week, and we're going to make our tips soon. But next game was the Roosters-Rabbitohs. What were your thoughts?
Look, something I've been keeping secret about this game. I'll start with a negative first. The Rabbitohs were quite negative. But a positive for me was actually Latrell Mitchell. Very surprisingly, I actually thought he was quite good at fullback. Not that X-factor level that we've seen of him at centre, but I thought he had a real good game. Obviously, that he let in that try, which was quite disappointing. They said he went missing and made a few jokes there. But I thought that Latrell had quite a good game. As for the Roosters, though, Brett Morris looked like he was on another level, winding back the clock. He was awesome. I think the Roosters really lacked and missed leadership, so Boyd Cordner provided that, and their forwards look as good as ever.
Just on Brett Morris as well, like he actually saved the try by making 2 tackles in one play. Like he saved that try with 2 tackles in one play. I can't remember who intercepted the ball. Who was the one who intercepted?
Was it Alex Johnston?
Alex Johnston got the pass off the interceptor. I can't remember who intercepted it, but it was Alex Johnston. Who did he pass it to? Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point of the matter is that he caught Alex Johnston, and then Alex Johnston got the pass away, and then he also made the tackle on whoever.
Campbell Graham?
Could have been Campbell Graham. I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I think it was an interesting game. I think the Rabbitohs just got outclassed, really. I don't think there's any more to it. I think looking into it, it was a difficult game for the Rabbitohs to win, especially when the Roosters were 0-2 coming off back-to-back wins of premierships, not just normal wins. I think the Rabbitohs, I gave them a bit too much credit. I'm not going to read too much into it going too much into the season. I think it was against a quality outfit that just needed to get a win, and it was obviously a rivalry match. I'm just not going to read too much into that just yet. I think they've got a team that can do something. But we're going to move on to the next game right now. And just before that, I want to ask about the set restart. So I found that the Warriors, with the set restart rule, this new set restart rule, I found that the Warriors, it works well for them. I found that the Tigers, they've got a team I guess could do. I'm going to slaughter them in a second, but there's a big but. So they're good with the set restart, I guess, in their set of their team. But anyway, and then we've got the Raiders, who are just absolutely fantastic. So what's your thoughts on the set restart rule? Because for me, I'll just quickly, I love it, but I don't understand where the restart, what happens. So it's like I can see it as a set restart, and it fastens the game up, and it looks fantastic, and it's really pacey. But why do they get a set restart? Like, that's what confuses me. You know what I mean?
I think after one round, for me, it's really too early to say. But as you've said, I think it does make the game extremely fast-paced, and that's what's exciting to see. I feel like the penalty count was less based on this as well. The set restarts were stopping penalty count. And there's definitely those teams that will take advantage from it. The Warriors. Tigers, I think, are getting there, but I still think the Tigers can get more of an advantage out of it. I even think the Eels and Rabbits are two fast-paced teams with quick play the balls that will really benefit from this. But once again, I feel like it's too early to say, so I might give it another 2 weeks before I...
Do you not think that possibly we could see a little bit of bias out of referees, though, considering that we don't know why the set restart was given?
That's probably a point. You could see Jared Sutton for his beloved Broncos, but
I know all about
knows?
that, champion. Don't you start me on 2016. Don't you start me on 2016. But let's get into those Saturday night footy games. And the first one was the Warriors versus Dragons, who I tipped. Get on around. And by the way, I want to let you guys know, the listeners, if you remember last week, Hayden said I'd be 0-4. I said I'd be 1-4. Well, guess what? I was 1-4. So I basically win. I'm claiming it. Hayden, what do you reckon about the game?
I thought it wasn't the best game of football, but it definitely was a fantastic team performance from the Warriors. They came out to play. And even though the Dragons weren't great, I think we still can give them a lot of credit for, one, their sacrifice, and two, breaking the record. 2 records were broken in the NRL on Saturday, but one being the best completion rate in NRL history with the Warriors over. They just didn't drop the ball until the last 5 minutes. They were outstanding. Their forwards were good. Even with injury, these guys have overcome adversity, and I really hope they can back it up against the Panthers. Can they, though? That's the question.
I would love them to back it up against the Panthers, but I don't see it. I just don't. I did say in last week's podcast, I was like, you know what? This is the game they're going to win. If there is a game, this is going to be the one that they win. And this was the one that they won. So it was against the Dragons, who Paul McGregor... what do you think about Paul McGregor? I think that Dragons... didn't they sign him to a new contract last year?
No.
I think they did.
I can't remember. I think 2018,
sure
maybe.
Well,
maybe.
Too close anyway. Did they really, when they made that contract, did they actually genuinely think he was the future?
I don't know. Paul McGregor, for me, doesn't seem like the complete issue. I think combinations and spine isn't working for the Dragon. There's no...
Paul McGregor's job to get right?
That is correct. So I guess, yes, he does come back to being part of the issue. This is going to sound really strange, but would you put Corey Norman at fullback and Duffy off the bench?
Well, Duffy didn't have a great game.
Exactly. But he's still someone who can play first grade and has memorable moments. You can't judge someone off one game.
You can't judge someone off one game, but I don't think he's been good. I don't think he was great last year, and I don't think he's been great to start the season off. So I think that in 2018, was it 2018 he had a really standout year?
Yeah, 2018 was a good year for Duffy.
That was a good year for Duffy, and
he had his moments last year as well. That moment in Anzac Day, he was great.
Yeah, but you can't judge a player off one game, eh?
That's true.
Yeah. No, so I'd experiment anything right now with the Dragons. Like I don't. Yeah, you just got to do something right now. There's nothing that you can just be like, yeah, no, we'll try it again next week. You know, that's what Paul McGregor's kind of doing. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, let's. That didn't work, but maybe it might work this week. And it's like, no, it's not going to work that week. So.
Tyson Frizzell was real good. He's on the way out next year, so that's probably the Dragons' best player at the moment. Yeah, Paul Vaughan was good too, but Newcastle.
Newcastle getting a few good forwards up there.
They are.
But yeah, let's move on to the Sharkies versus Tigers game. That one was absolutely frustrating to watch. And it actually annoys me saying the name Sharks and Tigers in the same sentence together right now, because Hayden's going to give you a speech right now that he's going to say that the Tigers were good, and I want Hayden to speak first, and I'm gonna pick it apart. You go on, Hayden. Tell me why the Tigers were really good in this game.
Tigers were not at their best. There's still another level.
Preach.
I don't know. Or I don't know. I'm going to speak about the good part. Someone who you wouldn't even think about, but I watch people closely. Thomas McKaylee was outstanding for the Tigers. No one probably noticed. In regards to impact, and I messaged him and spoke to him after the match about this, and he laughed at this comment. Billy Walters' impact reminded me of Brandon Smith. He was like a Brandon Smith on the field, making meters, doing the right things for his team. I think the Tigers were making big meters on the Sharks, big meters on play, kind of like Manly. Harry Grant was outstanding. And you can agree with me on that. Harry Grant at hooker was
good, yeah.
Level. Yeah, another level.
I'm just waiting my turn.
David Nufaluma. Everyone's talking a lot about him. I thought he was good, but I didn't think too much. I'll be honest. Yeah, I didn't either. Let's see what Blaze has to say. He'd love to
All
talk.
right. Firstly, let's talk about that right side defence. On that right side defence, Dugan scored 2 tries there. Now, another thing I want to speak about is Chad Townsend's kicking, because that will relate to exactly what I'm about to say here. That right side defence for the Tigers was dead set. I genuinely believe that was one of the worst defensive sides I've ever seen in my life on that right-hand side. And that's a testament to how shit the Sharks were. That's telling you how bad the Sharks were. Because on my live stream, I kept saying the Sharks should be up by 40 here. The Sharks should be up by 50 here. That was just ridiculous how much space there were. Every time they would go out left, there would be gaps. They made like 3 line breaks down that side. They made continuous line breaks. They made 2 tries there. Why didn't they keep going out to that left-hand side? They kept deciding to go out right, or they kept going down the middle. It didn't make any sense. So this is a two-edged sword here. I'm saying the Tigers were shithouse, but yet the Sharks I don't know what happened. Now, Chad Townsend's kicking is what frustrates me, because Chad decided to kick on fourth twice when they had a 4-on-1 or 4-on-2 overlap down that side. Twice. I think it was set after set, 2 sets in a row. And it just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. It really frustrated me, that game, because I thought the Tigers were absolutely bland, absolutely boring. And Tigers fans, I'm sorry, but it's the truth. And I guarantee a lot of Tigers fans understand what I'm talking about here, because if you look down that right side of the fence in that first half, even in that second half, the Sharks just didn't attack it. I don't get it. I don't get it. And I know I'm watching from my home. I know I'm watching. I can see the TV. But in the same sense, the good halves know when there are vulnerabilities. The good hookers know when there's vulnerabilities, and they didn't keep going down there, and Chad Townsend decided to keep kicking it. So that's my first grievance. My second grievance is that converting your goals. Benji Marshall, that was just no. I'm sorry. I wouldn't convert him again. I wouldn't let him convert again. I just think the Tigers lucked out. They lucked out playing a Sharks team that always finds a new way to lose games. They always find new ways to lose games. They were, and this is hard for me to say, because I love the Sharks. They were the better team in that first half, and yet still only led by what, like 6 points, something like that in the first.
16-10, I think it was. Yeah.
Oh my God! Like, they should have been up 40-6, 14-10. Point of the matter is that I thought the Tigers were crap. I thought the Sharks were. And that's the thing. I thought the Tigers, one of the worst performances I've seen from a team in a long time, and yet they still were better than the opposition team. And I don't necessarily believe they were good in attack. I think that try with Harry Grant, that was good. The one that he lucked out on that, because that wasn't actually – he was in the right position, so I'll give him that. The second try was just Sharks. That's Sharks. That's all I'll say. That's just Sharks. And then from there on out, the last 20 minutes, the Sharks just imploded. Like –
Did you think that Luke Brooks' defence was good? I don't think of him much as someone in defence, and I thought his defence was good. Do you agree with that?
I don't even want to. Look, I'm not going to lie to you, man. I don't really want to talk about the Tigers too much anymore, because that game really frustrates me. That game really frustrated me. I just don't think. I'm no. We're going to move on.
Let's move to Amy Park.
Storm versus Raiders. Fantastic game. Absolutely unreal game.
Game of the round.
No. Not game of the round, but
for me, it is.
No, you're talking in regards to like team performance. There's no way you're talking about actual game.
In regards
Panthers Knights.
In regards to exciting Panthers Knights, in regards to quality of football and which game I enjoyed watching more, I enjoyed the Raiders more.
I do too, but that's because I don't think it was the better game. I think the better game was Panthers Knights, but I think the better. I thought the Raiders were phenomenal. I thought the Raiders, that was one of the best performances I've seen in a long time. Very classy. You know, there's nothing could go wrong really. And then we saw in the last couple of minutes, they just took it to another level. When you thought the Storm could have been getting back on top, they kept pumping the line, and yet the Raiders just kept defending and forcing mistakes out of a Storm team that never makes mistakes. So they made a lot of mistakes in that game. And I guess that's why I don't think it was the best game of the round, because the Storm, although I thought they were pretty good, I don't think they were good. Obviously, they weren't good enough. The Raiders were just another level. And obviously, we both tipped the Storm here. Well, you tipped all 3 losers on the Saturday game. So
I thought the refereeing wasn't great for this game. I'll be honest. I didn't. The refereeing seemed very biased towards the Storm. If I rewatch that game, I think I'd back up this comment, and I'll probably rewatch it because it was a good game. I thought that the Storm were only kept in it based on the refereeing. The refereeing for Canberra, there was some harsh calls against them, but they obviously put some points in. George Williams was on an absolute another level. Everyone is giving a lot of credit to Jack Whiten, and I think he's a great player, and I love him. I didn't even notice him in this match.
I know, neither did I. I thought George Williams was the only half in this game.
Yeah.
No, seriously, like it looked like George Williams was doing everything. I don't know where Jack Whiten's getting all this praise from.
Yeah, he's been in Team of the Week and stuff for different content creators, and he's in the votes and all that, but I don't know. I didn't think. I think he got 2 Dally M points as well.
Wow. Okay. Well, then we're just obviously not seeing something. We're the ones wrong here. Then, to be honest, or we're just not seeing something. I just guess for me, George Williams took over, and I had a lot of criticism about George Williams in pre-season because it's obviously he's an English half, he's an English back. English forwards do well, but English backs don't usually translate to rugby league because I guess the pace of the game it's just different. But George Williams has come in and he's been fantastic. So I think that's a really good. I just think that he overshadowed everyone.
For the Storm, you obviously think they had a better performance than I did. I think one player that deserves a lot of credit and potentially could be up there for Dally M. I'm not sure, that might be a big call, but fantastic game. Cameron Munster, he was outstanding in this game. Real good. One of the best games I've seen from him in a while.
Besides the brain snap to Nelson Asafa-Solomona, I thought Nelson Asafa-Solomona was making some good meters, and I thought he was good too.
He was good. But that tackle.
The brain snap was what did me. Like that. I think they were only down by 6, weren't they? Or were they down by 12? I think they were down by 12 at the time.
Yeah, maybe 12.
And it was like 10 minutes to go. And this was when Storm were pumping that line. And then Nelson Asafa-Solomona decides to kick it on third tackle. And obviously it's a brain snap. It's something that he would have gone to the sheds and he would have been like, well, sorry, boys, like my brain just lost it. But Craig Bellamy would have given him one uppercut with his right and then given him another uppercut with his left. Like that was the wrong moment. That changed everything. So I don't believe they would have won that game anyway, but they were looking on top in those last 15 minutes before the Raiders obviously scored in the last 2 minutes or whatever. So I thought that was a phenomenal game. I thought the Storm were better than most people assume. I think that, yes, they lost the ball a lot. That's what people look at. I think that's what people look at because they're not used to the Storm dropping the ball. So I guess that's probably the only thing that really was a negative for me from the Storm. I just think the Raiders were too classy. They were too good defensively. They were too good attacking, and they were just too good. So that's my thoughts on the Raiders, and I definitely will be tipping them next week. We're going to talk about that in a second. What was the next game? The next 2 games was Panthers versus Knights. Ooh, that was a good game. I tipped the Panthers, you tipped the Knights, and we both won. How about that?
Winners. Bradman Best, outstanding for the Knights. He was fantastic on another level. Really good to see these debutants. As I spoke, there was 2 NRL records broken this weekend, and the second one was Chris Randall, most tackles on debut, which is absolutely outstanding. Brodie Jones was good, but he was quite quiet. The Knights need to worry now. If Mitchell Pearce and Connor Watson out, there are 2
How long are they out for? Have we heard how long they're out for?
I haven't. I don't know if it's a permanent thing, so we'll wait and see.
Well, I thought the Panthers were great in the first half, but then when the Knights scored at halftime, and I said this to you on stream, I said when the Knights scored at halftime, that was the blow because the Panthers had dominated the Knights in that first half, and they should have been up by 20 to 30. And this happened at a lot of teams this round. Actually, this is really strange. This round was a really big round for teams who won the first half but didn't win it by enough. Like for example, we got the Panthers here who absolutely dominated the Knights and just didn't have enough, and obviously they end up drawing the game, which is just crazy. There was who was the other one? The Titans. I thought they had the better half in the first half, and they were down by 8 points. But that's the Titans for you. And there was another team that I was thinking about. Oh, Sharks. Yeah, and the Sharks. So that's 3 teams out of possible 8 games that I feel like they definitely should have been up by a lot more than they were.
Knights fans, I really want to know in the comments, because something that's controversial. I guess I do agree with the decision because it was. But should your team have won 14-12? We obviously saw the 8-point try awarded to the Panthers.
That was 100%. But what are you talking about?
It was. I'm asking the Knights fans how they feel.
Well, if they tell us they're feeling like it was controversial, they're wrong. I'm sorry.
I'm not saying it's controversial. I'm saying there may be people who think it is.
Well, I'm telling the people who think it is, you're wrong. It was obviously a penalty try. What are you doing?
Yeah, it was. But it could have been
14-12.
Wasn't there a bad decision that they made that I kept saying in the game? I can't remember. I think there was something that we were talking about.
I think there was a forward pass from Newcastle.
The forward pass, and then I think they might have scored off that set. I don't know. It was a good game anyway, so whoop-de-doo. But Matt Burton needs to get his bloody kicking boots back. He was good. He was good. Technically, kicking-wise, it was okay. It was good. But
if it was stats on FIFA and you were looking at your shots on target, his shots on target would have been good, but obviously he didn't get the result.
Well, no, his shot wasn't on target. That's why he missed.
Well, it didn't go through the middle, but he was
that's
kicking
not a shot on target, mate. How's that a shot on target?
He was kicking from 40 metres out and he was getting straight in line with the post. There was no... They were all close.
Do you know what a shot on target is? A shot on target is when the goalkeeper saves it. A goalkeeper saves it.
Should have kept that one to myself.
Yeah, because that's wrong. I know what you're trying to say. It was good. But a shot on target is when you kick it at the goal and the goalkeeper saves it from going inside the goal. So you would need to assume that there'd be a goalkeeper stopping the ball. But you can't really say that in rugby league because if it's on target, it goes over. Actually, not necessarily. If it's too short, then fair enough. There was no too. I think there might have been one too short, but I think it was really short, like 10 metres short.
One hit the post.
Well, one hit the post. That's still not on target. It's because it didn't go through the goal. It didn't go through. So I thought fantastic game. I think Panthers probably should have won that, but in the same sense, Knights killed them in the second half, and Panthers, what are you doing, son? What are you damn well doing? But then again, they didn't have any Cleary. I think I would have loved to watch this game with Cleary and Mitchell Pearce and also Connor Watson.
And Ponga?
And Ponga.
I was just thinking that, do these teams, listen in the comments, I'll check after, do these teams rematch? Because I'm really looking forward to the rematch as long as all the players are in. It will be a real good game later in the season, I think.
Yeah, it would be a really good game. But let's finish it off quickly. Who was the last game? It was Manly versus Dogs. Okay, this is definitely going to be quick. Manly, not great. Bulldogs, shithouse, but Manly still convincing.
Turbo, insane. Not my player of the round, though. George Williams was a little bit better. A lot of people backing Turbo as player of the round. A lot.
Turbo was great, but George Williams was unreal.
Correct. Adam Fanua-Blake, real good for Manly. Positive signs there. Dogs, I don't know what I can speak about. They were weak in defence. They were pretty poor in attack. Jake Averillo was decent, and Dallin was all right at fullback. Dallin wasn't too bad in this game, but Manly weren't at their best, and they still won by 26. But
well, they should have kept them scoreless too. That's what annoys me. That's what annoys me because they should have kept them scoreless.
I told you they were going to score.
Stop it! If you think, so what? You telling me the Dogs they deserved a try in that game?
Not deserved.
They deserved to lose points for that game. They deserved to finish the game on like 26 to -4. That's what the game should have finished up as. That's how bad that performance was. But what I take from that first round, the question, and we'll do this every week. Well, if we can do it, but I guess what question would I take out of this? And my question would be, do you feel like the Raiders are genuine? They are favourites right now. Would you say that they are the favourites to win the comp right now?
Yes, I would. I think it has only been one game, so we need to be careful in regards to what we think. Oh, well, yeah, it has. I guess it has been 3. I forgot about those 2. I think they're 100% going to be in the grand final. I'll back it right now. Whether it be grand final winners or an appearance, they're definitely going to be there.
Well, I'd say be careful on that because there can be a lot of things like injuries. There can be a lot of things that come into the fray there. So I wouldn't say 100%. I personally am tipping the Raiders for the grand final. I nearly would tip them to win it right now, but I'm also worried about Manly in a serious level. So, but what are you saying?
What score would Raiders have put on Storm if they had John Bateman? I want to know. I genuinely
don't think it would have changed too much.
I think there would have been more points in it.
I don't know. I don't know how much a forward really would have impacted that game. I think I think that would be, if not one, I still think it would have been the same score. I don't think that impacts the game too much at all.
The comment section is going to rip.
Well, that's not a negative. Here. That's not negative on Bateman at all, by the way. I just think the game was just not. I don't think that would have impacted the game at all.
You and the comment section are going to G up at this because of a certain team. But I have. Here we go. I have listed the teams that I see potentially beating the Raiders because there is not many. Okay. I see the Roosters, who were grand final.
Oh, I know what you're talking about here. I know the team that's coming. Go on.
I see the Cowboys. I think they potentially could. I think the spine is working. Hey, shush.
Maybe on a bogey level, but not on a quality level.
Okay, I've got the Eels as a maybe. I think that we can compete against them.
That's an interesting game. I reckon that'd be an interesting
It will
game.
be
I
a
don't really
real
know how
good
to.
game.
I don't know how to. I'm not saying even on quality. I think that's just an odd game to predict. It's a really odd game.
You know what? I like picking grand finals, so I'm a little bit annoyed that everybody is backing the same as me, an Eels and Raiders grand
I'm
final.
not.
You're not, but a lot of people
So
are
you can't
right
say
now.
everyone, can you?
I
You
can't
can't say
say
everybody,
everyone.
can you?
And the final team, which this you probably already know, is Manly. Manly are genuine, a bogey team even for Canberra. Not just a bogey team, but great side, quality. I'm really looking forward to Manly playing the Raiders. I think we get it, if I'm not wrong, in round 6 or 7. It's coming up.
Yeah,
But
that'd be
those
good.
are the teams I could see beating Canberra.
I could definitely see Manly. I could see the Roosters, but I think Raiders. I think Raiders will get them this year if they make the grand final against the Roosters. I think Manly. Yeah, I've got Manly winning the comp. So, and it's hard after that last performance, but they still convincingly had a pretty shit game and still convincingly won. So it's like, it's hard to just write them off after that. And I don't really like Manly, but I'm well behind them this year. I get right behind that team. I think they've got a fantastic team all across the park, and they had young guns last year that were coming through, and they've come through now. So I think they've got a great team. I love Moses Sully against the Bulldogs. They kept talking about how good he was as well. So they've got good centers. They've got good halves. They've got good fullback. They've got great forwards. Yeah, they're a team. They're still my tip for the comp. I don't know who else I could see beating the Raiders. So I can see Eels is an odd game. I guess I give you that. I just don't. I don't know if that's based on quality. I just think that's based on I don't know. I don't even know how to read that really. I don't even know how to read that. Storm, I guess, still could. You couldn't wipe it out. You couldn't wipe it out, though. You could not wipe it out. Like, they're a bogey team for the Storm, but you could not wipe out the Storm in a finals match against them. Like, I get it was only 2 points last year.
That's true.
So I wouldn't wipe out the Storm. Obviously, the Titans. No, I'm joking. There's no way they're going to be the Raiders. But I just want to feel positive about myself, so I'm going to big us up. But anyway, let's quickly get into these games because we do have a couple of fan questions that do get sent every week, which is 3 questions every week that we handpick from the In the Sheds Instagram page. If you're not following the In the Sheds Instagram page, definitely go and follow that immediately because we do get your questions in each week. But first off, we're going to quickly go through our tips for this round because obviously we will be doing our tips. Even if we can't speak about the tips on the podcast each week, we will put our tips on the In the Sheds Instagram page and Facebook page so that you guys can see because I have got a ladder that we're going to do between myself and Hayden. But that's it's not looking good for me right now. It's only 2. I'm only 2 behind you actually. Jeez, after a shocking round. Oh, my God. You better be careful, champion. Oh, my God. You better be careful. Broncos Roosters. By the way, guys, I will be live streaming every single match this weekend, just like I did last weekend. So I think Hayden's going to join us for a couple. I don't know when he's coming. But
We'll see. Broncos Roosters I might be on. Maybe Sunday as well. We'll see.
Point of the matter
I
is
won't be on that Dogs and Dragons game.
I don't even know. I'll probably leave my stream on, but I don't even know if I'll be on for the Dogs versus Dragons game. That just looks shocking. But it's a Monday. I like how it's a Monday game this weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. That's 5 days of rugby league that we're going to get. Like, that'd be incredible. Do they do that a lot this year? No, it's only because it's a special day. And what's the Monday game usually? It's like Queen's birthday or something?
Yeah, no, it's normally that game, Bulldogs and Dragons.
I know. I just wish that they had done that with the Monday game. That would have been awesome. But then again, I guess if you do the Monday game, you can't have them playing on the Thursday or Friday, and it would just mess it up a bit. All right, Broncos Roosters. Who are you going to tip? We'll go one by one, by the way. So Broncos Roosters. Who are you tipping?
I'm going the Roosters by 10. I think the Broncos will be able to stop this from being a blowout match. I think the Roosters have shown that they are a genuine threat this year. Broncos have a bit of a bogey team for the Roosters. They really are. They've actually won 6 of their last 10 games against them. It is up in Suncorp, but I don't favour the Broncos here. So Roosters by 10.
I'm actually, we said this on last week. I told you in baseball it's relevant, in Premier League it's relevant. After what I've seen this weekend as well, I don't think home teams really, I don't think it really comes into the fray. I guess we've got the cardboard cutouts that do support the teams, and you will see BKRsport very soon at Suncorp Stadium. Don't you worry. But I'm tipping the Roosters. I'm tipping them by 12 points. I think they're going to be too classy for the Broncos. Is David Fee still out? Tavita Pangai is still suspended, yeah?
Wait till team list Tuesday. I'm not too sure about all this. That's why I'm worried about these tips. I normally do them after team list Tuesday, and this is on the Monday. But
no.
we'll see.
By the way, guys, this is coming out Wednesday, 4 p.m. for you, but we recorded on Monday. Panthers versus Warriors. I'm tipping the Panthers here. I think that, like I said, that the Warriors, they're one game they could win this season. They're not going to win many. The one game they could win was the game against the Dragons. The Dragons are not a great team. They've got a lot of problems right now from top to bottom. Every single player in the squad right now needs to rethink their playing ability. They've got the ability, but they've got to rethink their whole setup. The Dragons have just got a whole new rebuild. So I think the Warriors going up against them, it was perfect for them to start off with. But the Panthers, I think Viliami Kikau is going to run a mark here again. I think he was good in the game again. Well, he scored the first try. I'm going to go as far as say the Panthers win this game 26-10. I'm going to say I think it's a decent margin. That's not a smashing. That's a decent margin though.
I think this game will be very close. I think if Cleary is out, I think it'll be quite close. Ooh. It's good to go against you. I'm actually going to tip the New Zealand Warriors to get up here.
Ooh, damn, son.
Very, very, very close. I'm tipping the Warriors by 6 points. I think they showed a lot last week, and I think they'll show it again this week. I'm not saying the Warriors are going to be a big team this year, but I think they're going to start running a little bit, and I think this set restart rule.
I think this set restart thing will suit them. With two of us to check with their kind of pacey backline, I reckon they've got good. Mamalo will really benefit from this kind of stuff.
It really depends on their lineup. So that could change my tip, remember? But at this stage, I'm going the Warriors.
No. Don't bring that bullshit excuses in here. Don't you bring those bullshit excuses. You're tipping the Warriors. That's it. You shut your mouth. You're tipping the Warriors. That's it. You've tipped them. So, I want to tip the Warriors every week. I want to get behind this team because I would love to see this team surprise us this year after everything that's gone on. I would love to see the Warriors do it, but I'm not tipping them against the Panthers. And I'm pretty sure the week after they play the Cowboys, they could. I don't necessarily think they wouldn't have a chance against the Cowboys, but we'll get into that next week, maybe. We'll see how we go. Actually, no, we won't have time next week, so we'll put that on the Instagram page. So I've gone the Panthers there. You've gone the Warriors. Next game. Interesting game here. Storm versus Rabbitohs. Who are you tipping?
I'm going to go Melbourne. I think originally hard
game.
It is a hard game. I actually had the Rabbitohs beating Melbourne in my kind of preseason predictions for this game because I think it was meant to be round 5, which is what it is. No, it's round 4 this time. Anyway, I think the Storm will win by 16. I feel like they'll win 13 plus, mainly due to the fact that they were beaten at home. I think Bellamy's going to give them the old spray and they'll be up and about. I don't expect them to have an amazing game, though. I think they're still going to take a while to gel. I think Melbourne look like they're on a bit of a struggle. I still think, though, that they will consistently stay in the top 8. So I'm going to tip the Storm by 16.
I'm going to tip the Storm here. I think that the Storm win based on the fact that if they had have won, I think the Rabbitohs still could have probably gotten something out of this. I think that obviously Dylan Walker is not Dylan Walker, Cody Walker. There's too many Walkers in the league right now. I think that without Cody Walker, they're really going to be lacking again. I think they lack the direction. Obviously, Adam Reynolds is great, but they still lack the direction completely in the halves, and I think he's a big loss. I think that the Storm win based on the fact that Craig Bellamy would have given an uppercut with his left and his right. I think. Look, he's a huge loss. He's a huge loss, Walker. So I think that I'm definitely going to give the Storm a win here. Not by a huge. Actually, no, I'm going to give it a decent amount. I reckon I'm going to say 14. It's not huge, but it's a decent win, I think. And it's a difficult match to predict. I think the Rabbitohs are a very different kind of team this year. And I think they do. It'll be a bit of a shock to lose 2 games. But I guess the Roosters are a good team. They only just beat the Sharks in a really average, which a game they probably should have lost, actually. They should have lost that game against the Sharks because it was the Sharks rookie that cost them. But let's move into the Parramatta versus Manly game. So firstly, just to recap, we're both tipping the Storm. I know we're going to tip 2 different teams here. I know we're tipping 2 different teams in the Parramatta game. I'm tipping Manly. I think that it'll be a good game. I think I probably could be wrong here. I think that Manly versus Parramatta could be a 50-50, 100% based on the fact that it's a rivalry. And I can never... rivalries are very hard to tip. Rivalries are very difficult to tip because there's so much passion. There's so much animosity. And I don't know. I still think I'm tipping Manly. I'm tipping Manly. It's going to be a tight one. I'm going to tip Manly by 4 points. What's your thoughts?
It should be a tight one, and I'm not going to back us 13 plus. So don't start thinking.
I thought you were about to say I'm not going to back us. I was like, ooh.
No. I am going to back us, but I'm actually going to back us a little bit high. I'm going to back us by 12 points.
Are you going to back Eels every week this year, Matt?
No, I'm
Okay.
not. I like to be someone who actually goes against my team if I legit think they're going to lose.
The thing with the Eels, though, is that they generally have a good chance against anybody. So, it's hard, but I just think Manly are going to get you. And I think Manly have a really good record against you too, don't they?
No, Parramatta have won 8 of their last 10 against the Eel. Parramatta have won 8 of
Manly
their last
won
10.
50-0 like 2 years ago.
That was 2018, 54-0, and then we beat them 44-10. That was one of their only wins in the last 7 years. Anyway, point of the matter being, Ray Stone, our bench is looking real good. Manly doesn't have a bench, in my opinion, but they do have a really good starting lineup. This game is also at Bankwest, which means the boys will not be doing much travelling. I guess Manly won't be doing much travelling as well. They'll just be on the bus.
Central Coast and Bankwest. Oh my God, we're really getting into that in regards to travelling, are we?
I'm going to back the Eels here. End of story. I'm going to back us in.
Yep. Oh, well, fair enough. I'm not saying that that's wrong. Cowboys Sharks. This is a bit of a difficult one for me to tip, actually, and this isn't because I like the Sharks, but this is, I feel like, a match that honestly could go either way. I'll explain mine in a second, but what are your thoughts?
I'm going to go with the Cowboys here. I saw a bit last week to make me think that they can back up their performance. I think the Sharks looked in all sorts. They'll definitely want to respond for that loss to the Tigers. The Sharks are one of these teams that quickly respond with quite a good match normally, but I think they'll go 4 straight losses, which is absolutely mental for the Sharks.
I think this is so hard to tip, mate. And
it is a hard game to tip.
I think that based on quality of team, I think when you look at the names the Sharks have, they probably should win this game. But the thing is that I think Cowboys will win this game. And this is a very difficult tip for me to make because I think the Sharks... Go on quickly.
I'm going to tip them by 8. Cowboys by 8. I don't see either of these teams being a blowout. I see this being a tough, tight contest, like you're saying. But for one, the Sharks' goal kicking isn't great. I feel like that gives the Cowboys a bit of an advantage. So... Cowboys by 8.
Yeah, well, I think I really want to tip the Sharks here, and I tell you why. I want to tip the Sharks because they've got the plays in them to win a game like this, and especially after a game like the Tigers. But they're just they're that team that they find new ways to win. I say this all the time. They're inventors. They are the Albert Einstein of the comp. They are the type of team that will invent a way to lose. And they also, when you don't think they're going to win, they go and win. And I really, really, really want to tip the Sharks here. I actually feel like they're going to win, but I'm going to tip the Cowboys. I'm going to go with my head here over my heart. But in the same sense, I am thinking with my head if I wanted to tip the Sharks on the basis that I think that they could get this win, but I'm not going to. I'm going to stay it right now. I'm tipping Cowboys. That's what I'm going to do. Hard to do. Nothing to do with the fact that they're like my second team. Just because I genuinely think this is a very difficult match to predict. But Raiders versus Knights, I will go first here, I think. Yes, I'll go first. I'm tipping the Raiders here, and I'm going to tip the Raiders by 14 points.
Hey, exact same as me. Good stuff. I've gone Raiders by 14. I think the Knights, the injuries will hurt them. Depending on if they play, I still don't think it changes much. I think I could be wrong. I think Ponga's out again. Not too sure about that. Not too sure. So wait till tomorrow, team this Tuesday. But I'll go Raiders by 14. They were real promising, and I think they can do some damage against Newcastle, who have obviously drawn last week, and they haven't lost a game yet. So this will be the Knights' first test and loss of the season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm tipping the Raiders based on the fact that I think George Williams will I think George Williams will tear that defense apart. I think the Knights' defense was pretty good against the Panthers, but I think the Panthers should have scored more. I think the Panthers should just sort of scored more, to be honest with you. I think the Knights were very vulnerable there, but they did hold up strong. But I think that against a quality half like George Williams, because the Panthers didn't have a half to direct him around. There was no Cleary, and Jerome Luai was not great. And and Burton's a young blood. So when you've got a player like George Williams leading the team around, he's just next level. He's just next level. So I think that he'll be able to find those gaps against the Knights a lot better than the Panthers did with a couple of young halves. But moving into the next game, so we're both at the Raiders there. Moving into the next game, this is a difficult game to predict as well, in my opinion. And it's not because I'm a Titans fan. It genuinely is. Titans-Tigers, this is a difficult one. Who are you going?
Real tough game. I'm struggling to find either tip. I think the Titans are due a win soon. I'm not tipping them in this game, unfortunately. I think they will
Yep.
keep it close, though. For some reason, this scoreline might change, but the team won't change. I'll go with Tigers. I'm thinking it'll be kind of low scoring, maybe 20 points to 12. I feel like the Titans can defend in this game, but I feel like the Tigers have more points in them. So I'll go the Tigers by 8.
This is a difficult game for me to predict. I am going to tip the Titans, and I can guarantee you guys right now, I'm not going to tip the Titans every single week. I can guarantee you that when I think we're going to lose, then I will tip us because we don't have a great team. Well, we're an up-and-coming team, but we're not a great team right now. So I can guarantee you, I'm tipping the Titans here because if we're going to win a game, this is the Warriors, like the Warriors versus Dragons game for me. I think that if the Titans are going to win a game, like I said, I completely didn't rate the Tigers last week. I thought they were shocking. I love it shocking. So I am tipping the Titans here. It is a bit of hope, but I am thinking. I personally feel like I might be thinking with my head here. I feel like I don't really know, to be honest. I think this game is really just odd. They're both pretty average teams, and it's going to be it's going to be a bit of a random one. It's going to be just who's not the worst on the day, I guess. But I'm looking forward to seeing Jones Pearson. I think that Titans, as long as we don't let our heads get down, I think we can win this game. So I'm not going to give a score prediction. I'm just going to say I think the Titans are going to win this game because that game could be 13 plus to either team or 1 to 12 to either team. That's just those kind of teams. It depends on who's the worst on the day, pretty much. Bulldogs Dragons to finish this up. I will tip the damn.
Yeah, it's a tough game. It's a tough game.
Have you got your tip? Because I don't know. Let me listen to you and then I'll make my tip.
I have got my tip, and it's changed in the last 2 minutes. It's going to be a very close game. Originally, I had the Bulldogs, but I'm going to tip the Dragons by 4. That's a lock. I think changes need to be made to the team, and I hope they are made tomorrow. But I think the Dragons should win this game. Bulldogs have actually won 7 of their last 10 against the Dragons. So that's a bit of an advantage in regards to the hoodoo factor. But the Dragons will be very shirty about their loss. I think Dragons will win, but I think either team by less than 10 points. So I'll do Dragons by 4.
I'm taking Dogs. I'm taking the Dogs. That's what I've decided. I'm taking the Dogs, not because I'm going against you. It's not that. It's it's because I think the Dogs still have a decent-ish team. I think they will probably come in at like 13th, 14th this year, but I feel like they've got a decent-ish team. The Dragons have just got so many errors across the park, man. They've got so many errors across the park. There's like Ravalawa is great, but he still drops the ball. Like there's just nothing that excites me about the Dragons, and I guess nothing excites me about the Bulldogs. But we saw in round 1 they can defend. But we saw in rounds 2 and round 3 that they can't defend. So it's so hard to predict. I think they're going to win this game close. Do
you think it'll be high scoring?
I don't even know, man. I don't even know. I'm going to tip Dogs 18-14. I'm going to throw that out there. No, that doesn't sound right. I'm going to tip 14. I'm going to tip 14-10. It's random. I'm going to tip 14-10. I have no idea how to read this game. I'm taking the Dogs based on that hopeful defense, and that's what I'm saying.
I'll go Dragons 22-18. I think both teams have the ability to score and quite weak defense.
So we've made a few different tips. So we both went Roosters. You went Warriors. I went Panthers. We both went Storm. You went Para. I went Manly. We both went Cowboys. We both went Raiders. You went Tigers. I went Titans. And you went the Dragons. And I went the Dogs. So yet again, mate, different tips. We're mixing it up,
stuff.
mate. Yeah, we're mixing it up.
Moving
into the listener questions that we ask you guys on the In the Sheds podcast, we have one from AJ_Ellis 2019, which says, can you talk about how the New South Wales government has cancelled plans for ANZ Stadium? Hayden, what are your thoughts?
This one's quite big because the NRL is threatening to move the grand final from Sydney.
Let's go Suncorp. Hey. Actually, no, just before we say that, I just want to say, when we were talking about this, when we were messaging each other, Hayden said something about, like, hopefully Bankwest. And I was like, Bankwest is still in Sydney champion, so that would kind of defeat the purpose. But anyway, yeah, Hayden, go on what you're saying.
Yeah, this is big. I wonder if Allianz is going to be rebuilt or if they're going to drop that as well, because Allianz was knocked down.
That was already knocked down, wasn't it?
So that would be mental if they don't rebuild that stadium. That would be a waste.
No, surely they would be forced to. They're already halfway, aren't they?
You'd hope so, but who knows with everything going on. But this is massive. It's a big change, and quite worried about the grand final, hey?
Well, I'm not really worried about the grand final because it could just go to Suncorp. And if it doesn't go to Suncorp, then it's stupid. Like, what other stadium are you going to use? Like, you're not going to use Seabus. You're not going to use Amy. Don't even dare tell me you're going to use the MCG. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do that. Don't do that. No, there's no MCG. There's no Adelaide. There's no bloody Perth. We're not taking the grand final to New Zealand. We're not going to Papua New Guinea. We're going to bloody Suncorp. That's just as simple as that. Like, there's no point if you're not going to have it at ANZ or Allianz or whatever. There's no point. And I don't even think Allianz is the great place for it. I think Suncorp, if not ANZ. Simple as that, really, man. I think it's simple as that. So I think I understand that in these times, there's no point restructuring and rebuilding a complete new stadium. But in the same sense, it's like, it is difficult to hear, but I completely understand due to the financial situation of the world right now and the financial situation of Australia specifically, that they're not going to go out and put money into sports when they need to help the people out in what's going on. So obviously Australia's in a little bit of a better position than America right now, but I think I completely understand the situation. It is rough, but if you're a Queenslander, grand final might be coming our way, mate. It might be coming our way. Next up, we have Mitch_C23 who says, who was the team of the round in your opinion, boys? Obviously, he's talking about NRL here. That's what this whole podcast has been. So my team of the round, I am going to say the Canberra Raiders by a damn well 10 times 3 buddy furlong 1,400-year mile radius was the Canberra Raiders. I didn't see any other team that performed anywhere near as well as they did. And I think that the Raiders with George Williams, just class, just absolute class. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Raiders, but I'm going to give a lot of credit towards the Warriors as well. That set completion rate.
It's against the Dragons, though, bros.
I know. But still, that's crazy. No one expected them to perform that well. And yes, it was only a Dragon. But I think Raiders definitely team of the round. They really got around Josh Papali for his 200th game. They've become a bogey team once again to the Storm, which they were actually losing by 30, 40 points over the last couple of years up until last year, which is crazy to think how they've turned that around with these big English signings and this real good team. Even Chance Nickel-Clockson at fullback, they had a massive game. And George Williams, I can't give a bigger rap. Blaze has given such a rap around him. So Canberra Raiders for mine.
And that's the thing, when I say that as well, like I didn't necessarily believe it in preseason due to the fact that firstly it's a Canberra Raiders halfback, and secondly it's a coming from England a half or a back in general. So I just don't rate them usually, and he's been fantastic.
In my recap, I basically stated that I had the Raiders in the top 4, but my biggest concern was the loss of Aiden Caesar. I thought he was really good at halfback. So I really questioned, as you've said, someone from England who the forwards are really successful, but the backs aren't great. And I questioned that. But it's only been one game, so we can't completely judge, but it was one killer game. Well, I wouldn't judge the other two. I wouldn't judge the other two performances.
There's 3 games, mate. There's 3 games, mate. You got to include them. You got to include them if they. I would have said
Jack Whiten was the halves for the first 2.
In argument of what I've just said, they played the Titans and the Warriors. So you can't really include those 2 games because they are 2 teams that aren't exactly fantastic. So that's what I said earlier as well. I was like, I wait to see the Raiders actually play a decent team, and they play a decent team in the Storm, and they've proven themselves. So I definitely tip the Raiders here, and I think that's a pretty easy one for me. I think I understand what you're saying with the Warriors, but against a better team, please. I'm sorry, but I've ripped the Dragons a lot today, but they deserve it, and I think their fans would understand how much I've ripped them. I think Dragons fans would completely understand. I think they'd agree, to be honest, with how much we've ripped the Dragons today, because they're just shocking, mate. They're just absolutely shocking. But let's move into the third and final question, which is from onceuponatime._, which says, what made you guys want to start a podcast? So, Hayden, you go first, mate.
Well, I'll go first. I was invited by Blaze. In the Sheds was always something I enjoyed watching, mainly listening to, because there was no video.
There was no video before, no.
There was no video before. But I think for me, it's something that's really grown on me. I really enjoy it as something in the background, something to look forward to and exciting. This podcast, by the way, takes up a hell of a lot of our time, and Blaze's editing skill on another level. So
takes a lot of time.
If you're watching this, give him a round of applause. But 2 good mates who have really gotten together. I think our friendship I think we've known each other longer than 6 months. I was going to say 6 months worth
Whenever the
now.
Parramatta versus Broncos game was, that was the
Yeah,
first time I met you. You'd
that was the
obviously
first
seen
time
me
I met you.
beforehand because you came up to me at the game and said something like, "Buddy, I watch you, I love your stuff," or something like "Big fan." I think you
Yeah,
posted a video about it.
I've got that video. I'll share it
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Instagram
no,
story
I've.
after this comes out.
Yeah, exactly. But no, the reason why I started the podcast, and this podcast is fantastic because we speak to so many players that you haven't even heard of, you haven't even seen yet. You know, like we've spoken to some massive players, and I've gotten to ask them some incredible questions, and that's exactly what I've always wanted to do. You know, I think it's good to be able to speak for about an hour and 10 minutes, whatever, about just sport. And it was actually the original podcast was all just about sport. It was all just live sport. We did have a guest on. We did have William Zillman from the old Titans who came on. He's a good friend of mine. But yeah, that was the old one. That was myself and Shells, who's no longer with us. You'll see him in 2 more podcasts. Actually, you see him in this week upcoming with Emerging Cricket, and you'll see him again for the Anthony Don podcast that we have coming out in a couple of weeks' time. But Luke isn't with us anymore, unfortunately. So he was originally, and I started it because I just love sport, man, and you may as well, you know what I mean? Especially during this time as well, when everything kind of went, you know, tits up, really. Like, actually, we did start it during this pandemic, didn't we? We started
We
like
did. I
late
think
March or something.
one thing I may add, the fact that I got on board is I think NRL. I don't think of myself as someone with extreme knowledge, but I think NRL and NBA and things I know a bit about. Whereas I'm learning a lot about more sports, and that's really good.
Like
I think
rugby
I've got
union
on
with
board with.
Tetaroa, for example.
Yeah, that's a big example. And Ivan Gonzalez with baseball,
With
even though there's so many
baseball,
numbers
yeah.
in that, so it's hard to comprehend.
Yeah, incredible
But
numbers.
I'm learning a lot.
Yeah, no, it's 100%. And I'm even learning a lot because obviously I love I love all sports, but it's definitely helping us to learn a lot. And like I said, you guys haven't seen anywhere near the amount of players that we've already recorded with. Like, I'll tell you the guys we've already recorded with. We've done Priscilla Hon, women's tennis player. We've done where we're recording with Stephen Donald, All Blacks, very soon, who you kicked the winning penalty for the All Blacks 2011. We've got Lonnie Ahila. We've had Anthony Don, Greg Bird, Emerging Cricket. We've had Ivan Gonzalez. We've had Maverick Weller from the AFL. Ivan Gonzalez is a baseball player for Chicago White Sox, by the way. And we've just got absolute name after name after name upcoming. So it's definitely something to get excited about. And I guess that just summarizes what I'm saying here is that I always wanted to talk to players. I think of them as normal. It's not like if I see them in person, I'm going to be like, oh my God, let's take a photo. It's like I just respect players for their ability, and I think I've got a quality ability in what I do, so I can see myself on that level, and Hayden does as well. You know, if you're putting all your effort into something, then you are just like them in your own field. So I do YouTube, I do editing, I do content creation, and I think I'm really good at what I do. And you got to believe in yourself in this game, otherwise you're not going to make it anywhere. So I put myself on that level, and that's why I talk to them like normal. And I guess they respect that about us too, Hayden, because we obviously treat them like it's, yes, like I guess we do interview them, but in the same sense, I don't feel like our podcasts are really interviews as such half the time. I think we kind of get off topic all the time as well.
We do. We get into real personal topics, and honesty is a massive part. Every athlete that we've had has been honest about negative experiences. One of the things we focus on, I'm not sure if anyone realizes, but we focus a lot on overcoming adversity. I think that's massive in athletes and their experiences in relation to challenging themselves and being better. And a lot of our athletes have seen that. We've seen it in Charlie Dixon. We've seen it in Ivan Gonzalez, or you'll see it in Ivan Gonzalez later on. There's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly right. So there's been some fantastic on. There's going to be some fantastic coming soon as well. And we also want to start bringing some people on just for the live sport chat. But next week, guys, we are going to be heavily speaking about, the AFL and Super Rugby. It's coming back. Obviously, we will get the NRL in. This Wednesday podcast will really turn into a biggest things happening in sports. This has just been the rugby league focus that we've had is been really because there is nothing else going on right now, but we will have to figure in other teams and other sports. And but the good thing is that this will always roll on. There's always going to be sport. Then again, we found out not necessarily, I guess. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll see how we go. But I hope you guys are enjoying these Wednesday podcasts, and obviously the Sunday podcast with the players. But I hope you guys are enjoying these Wednesday ones where we just kick back and just talk and half the time I don't even know where to look, mate. I don't know if I'm looking at the camera or I'm looking over here. I'm looking over here.
It does feel more casual. It does feel more casual.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess when I'm talking to the listeners, I look up here. And then when I'm talking to you, I'm like looking everywhere down. I don't know. It's by the way, if you're listening on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, or TuneIn, we have the video footage on BKRsport on YouTube that comes out Wednesday, 4 p.m. AST every Wednesday. But we also do have the In the Sheds podcast clips page, clips channel, where you guys need to go and subscribe to, where we put the clips up from each different podcast, and we put them up a couple of days afterwards. But when we do our predictions and stuff like that, even when we don't do even not clips from the podcast, we can, like, for a little segment, we can do a quick thing that we can do onto that page anyway for clips and stuff like that. But that is going to do us for today, guys. I think we've been going for just over an hour now. So I do really hope you enjoyed. Obviously, thanks to Hayden for coming along. Go and subscribe to Entertain House. Go and support him as well, because he's always here. We do have a hectic schedule all the time with talking to players and stuff. We are very well ahead of when we need to have them done by. So, I hope you guys are enjoying. Obviously, if you're not subscribed to me, BKR Sport, then go down there, hit the subscribe button, notification bell. I live stream every single rugby league game this weekend. And from next weekend on, I'm going to be starting doing Super Rugby and AFL as well. So if you love your live streams, you love your sport, and you don't really like the commentary there, and you want to talk to the commentator, I'm your guy. So go to BKR Sport. We didn't speak about the Premier League social distancing thing.
Speak about the Premier League.
Didn't.
Do we want to leave that for next week?
We'll leave that for next week, yeah. Because
next week, guys, you got to tune in.
Yeah, so basically the question that we were going to talk about today was the Premier League, the government has asked the Premier League players to social distance on the field whilst playing, which is, I'm not going to tell you my thoughts on that just yet. We'll talk about that next week. So there's a little bit of a teaser for next week. But that will do us for today, guys. So thanks for watching. Catch you later. See ya.